On December 4th, 1872, about 1,000 kilometers off the coast of Spain, sailing under the Canadian flag, the Dei Gratia came upon the brigantine Mary Celeste.
There's a ship in trouble coming our way. Go with it.
Observed from the Dei Gratia, the Mary Celeste seemed to be in distress. No one was on the bridge. It appeared to be abandoned.
The Mary Celeste, originally named Amazon, was built just a few feet from where we're sitting right now. She was launched in 1861. She had a long career as a wooden vessel, 24 years, and she was a bad luck vessel from the day she was launched until she was deliberately wrecked. The day she was launched, my grandfather was on her. The captain was a young man from near Five Islands, economy, and he was sick. They loaded their lumber and they set off for England, but they didn't get out of the Bay of Fundy when the captain became very ill. So they turned the vessel around, they came back to Spencer's Island, where he died a few hours later. That was the first incident of the Mary Celeste. She lost other captains during her career. She never made a cent for anybody. She was just, well, some called her a hoodoo, a Jonah. In other words, a bad luck vessel.
In 1867, the Amazon ran aground on the rocky coast of Cape Breton. It was put back in the water and led to Spencer Island, where it was completely refurbished. Its length was extended to 31.4 meters, and its weight was now 282 tons.
Her owners were forced to sell her. She was sold to a man in New York, in New York City. He renamed her the Mary Celeste. It is not good luck to change the name of a vessel, but he felt in this case he could perhaps bring good luck because the vessel had been born with such bad luck. He was absolutely wrong. He refitted her and sent her off with 1,700 casks of alcohol headed from Staten Island to Genoa, Italy. They never arrived. They got as far as Gibraltar, and the crew was never seen again.
David Reed Morehouse, the captain of the Dei Gratia, found irony in this chance encounter. Not only was he quite familiar with Benjamin Briggs, the captain of the drifting ship, but just 2 weeks earlier, both ships had been docked in New York at about the same time. An odd coincidence. Morehouse instructed his men to board the Mary Celeste to investigate.
When the crew of Dei Gratia spotted Mary Celeste, they found her one sail set, the other dragging and fluttering in the breeze, hatch covers off, slowly moving her way along. They hailed, and there was no answer. And so as they drew closer, they could see a line trailing over the stern, but no other signs of distress. Nobody was on board. The vessel, abandoned, but with signs of life having been there not too long before, certainly proved to be a mystery.
The Mary Celeste was deserted and had been abandoned for several days, judging by the water in the deckhouse and between decks and the meter of water in the ship's hold. They found 1,700 barrels of crude alcohol and a 6-month supply of food and water in the hold.
The description that this crew member gave was that it looked as if people had just disappeared. There were materials left out. There was a full store of food available. The captain's wife's harmonium was out and looking as if it was about to be played, and yet there was not a soul on the ship.
The cabin aft was wet. The crew's belongings, many of them in place, but in disarray. The captain's instruments and the log gone, but with the log slate indicating a last entry of November 25th, a little better than a week earlier.
The ghost ship was returned to its New York owners with no explanation given for the ship having been abandoned. The Mary Celeste continued to sail around the world, drawing curious onlookers wherever it docked.
I guess all the blank spaces would be filled with all sorts of imaginings, to mutiny, to sea creatures, to supernatural happenings. All of these things combined to give Mary Celeste a bad name that would persist right up to the end when she was wrecked by her last captain and crew in a deliberate act of barratry.
On November 2nd, 2000, a Canadian television crew finally discovered the remains of the Mary Celeste off the coast of Haiti. But the ship did not provide them with any answers to one of the greatest mysteries in marine history.
Certainly, we didn't find anything that added anything more to an understanding of what happened out there in the North Atlantic in 1872. As to my opinion, I have one like so many other people. I believe that Mary Celeste was abandoned by captain and crew in a moment of panic.
The captain of the Mary Celeste was a man named Benjamin Briggs. He was a teetotaler and kind of a Bible thumper. He was a very religious man. He had on board alcohol, which he had no experience with at all. He also had his wife and his 2-year-old daughter. At some point, I suspect that the alcohol began to leak and the fumes from the alcohol started to come up through the ship, and I think he panicked. He put over their 17-foot lifeboat. I think the crew and he and his wife entered it, and somehow a storm came up, the line parted, and they simply lost their vessel.
Whatever happened was tragic. Whatever happened actually is commonplace. There are still hundreds of vessels each year that go missing without a trace. And there are ships that are still found adrift with nary a soul aboard. The ocean is vast, its secrets are many, and most of them will never be told, at least not until Judgment Day.